Well, good afternoon, everyone. Hey, it's Gordon here. I want to thank everyone who are here now and maybe on the replay. And if you're here for the first time, could you do me a huge favor? Just type a one in the comment. Type a one in the comment so we can actually acknowledge you and thank you for being here. I'm going to jump right in. Our special guest today is someone I have a lot of respect for because, as you guys know, business and entrepreneurship is something that I absolutely love. And I love individuals that are also um, individuals who love family. So, this individual you're going to hear from, not only is he a businessman, but he is someone who's making all the right moves, and you're going to find out why in a minute. But
Hi.
family is also very important to him as well. So please help me to help me to welcome my special guest, Mr. Kola Olasimbo. Kola, welcome, welcome. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. Thank you very much, Gordon.
Wow, it's hot here. Like it's been a hot day here in Toronto. What about where you are right now?
It is hot. I'm in Ajax now, and it's pretty hot.
Yeah. I actually had a friend who told me that she feels sick right now because she has a heat stroke.
Oh
So
wow.
not to laugh about that. And I know some of our friends here are going to know that you were a doctor at one point as well. So let me ask you this. I'm going to jump right into it. Could you tell us a little bit about who are you and what did you do professionally prior to you getting into the mortgage industry?
Okay, so I'm a medical doctor from Nigeria, and I came into Canada in 2006. Uh, Back then, it was a lot more tougher to get into the medical profession here. There's this uh, the programs we are referred to as international medical graduates. So when you come into the country, regardless of the training specialty that you may have had as an international medical graduate, you would have to be back in the system and be retrained in quotes. So you sort of have to get back into residency and get things going. And we had a series of exams. I had attempted the first exam. I had a study group as well, and I noticed there was a lot of my colleagues that had even finished up all the exams that would come help us with studying and go through the process with those of us that were just getting in. And some of them had finished the exams 3, 4, 5 years, but they hadn't had an opportunity to get into the system. So it was one thing to have your exams going, it was another to actually be able to match, like we call it, in which case you may have 10 spots available and you have 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 applicants. So what are the odds? So that got me thinking, hey, how about I start considering something else? And I've always loved to be able to reach out and talk to people. Well, my medical profession allowed me to be able to relate with different types of people. So I love connecting with people, talking to people, and helping people. So I'm like, okay, if I can't help people in the medical field, there must be other opportunities out there for me to be able to provide needs and help people as well. My immediate older brother at the time was a businessman. He ran a car dealership back home in Nigeria, and I got into it with him, and I was very interesting. So I found that as a quick avenue to get things going for myself. So I got into the car automobile industry as a salesperson and a manager at some point. Uh, we had I worked with we set up an independent dealership here in Canada. Um, I managed that for some years, and then I moved on to General Motors. I worked at GM dealership as a sales manager as well for some years, and just before COVID. But along the line, well, I got into real estate, dabbled into it um, with family and friends. So we would buy properties, do some renovations, flip the houses, make some money, and it got pretty interesting. And there was always a very interesting part of it that really struck me, which was the idea of getting the finances for the property. Because you could love a property all day long, but if you cannot finance it, then you cannot get it. So I'm like, okay, this is a backbone of real estate, and I kind of got very interested in that as well.
Mm,
This is a major hurdle a lot of people out there have to cross in terms of putting shelter over their head as well as investing. So I had that at the back of my mind, but I just did not pull the move for some time. Like I was to say, I was fine in the space where I was. I was a sales manager. I was making good money, and COVID came.
mm.
So at that time, the initial lockdown was 3 months, and
That
we
three
all had
months,
to stay home.
that's a 3 years, right?
Exactly. So we all had to be home. So that time frame got me thinking, like, okay, what do I want to do going forward? I want to be more, because I had the opportunity to spend more time with my kids. I have 3 kids, they're young kids. I was able to spend a lot more time with family, and I'm like, okay, I've been missing out a lot on family ideas because these kids are growing fast, and my work at the time as a sales manager at a dealership was, oh well, I pretty much lived at the dealership. I was there first thing in the morning. I was probably the last most of the time to leave the
The
dealership.
last one to leave. Wow.
Sometimes I'm there 12, 14, 16 hours a day. So there was not much time for family. So
Cool. Those
they
are like doctor's hours.
exactly, well, probably. So yeah, but at the same time, I considered the medical profession again as well. And I'm like, okay, but that little span of 3 months that I was able to spend so much time sitting at home, not even going out at all with my kids, I'm like, I'd love to spend a lot more time. It actually dawned on me to figure out a way to spend more time with family, with my kids
Yes.
and my
Yeah.
wife. So I said, okay, going into the medical profession is the same thing. Like I'm just going to be there gone for hours and not. So I'm like, okay, this real estate thing that I've always thought about, maybe this is the time to review. And that's what I did at the time. I got into it. Initially, was in between should I be a realtor or be a mortgage agent? But then I have my wife and my very good friend, Kaede. Both of them at the time were also considering going into real estate. I said, okay, let's just form a team. Like, you guys stick to the real estate side of things. Whatever we're going to do, we're going to need mortgages anyways. Let
Mm,
me be the one to handle the mortgages because along the line, I got a very good idea and sense of how to play. I call it putting the pieces of the puzzle together to get
mm,
a mortgage going for different reasons. I've been in the commercial space personally
mm,
and the private space as well. So I, before I even became a mortgage agent, family and friends would come to me when they wanted to start off their mortgages to pick up ideas from me. And what do you think about this? How do we go about this? And blah blah blah. And in the process, I had a lot of friends in the industry,
mm,
mortgage brokers, agents, even BDMs in banks and things like that. So I established relationship with people in that industry prior to even going into it. And they would all say to me, hey, you understand this a lot. Like, why don't you just would you really consider this? And when the time came, yes, I moved into the mortgage industry. And so that has been my journey so far.
wow. Wow, that's amazing. That's quite a journey, right? So from being a doctor, right, coming to a new
Yes,
country and the car industry,
yes,
the real estate and mortgage industry, and I know you own investment properties that you're renovating right now as well.
correct.
What would you say to somebody, Cola? Because I'm an immigrant kid, and there are folks who come here like yourself, professionals from other countries, doctors, right, physiotherapists, engineers. You're practicing in other countries, but you come here. It must. How did you feel when they said you can't practice?
Well, actually, it was what I say to people is you have to have an open mind. Like
Mm,
you can't have a tunnel vision for everything you do in life. You have to have an open mind. What are your options? Always review options, but you can only review options if you're open to it, if you have an open
right.
mind. So
But did you
that
did you for did you for a moment feel like, oh, that's not fair? Like, I mean, I'm already practicing as a doctor at home. I know what to do, but you know what I'm saying? Did
Yes, I felt that way, but hey, there's this saying: when you're in Rome, you behave like the Romans, right?
ah okay.
Uh, yeah, as a doctor from Nigeria, but coming into the Canadian system, if the Canadian law says I have to go this route to get in the system, I have to
Mm,
respect that because I
yes.
wasn't forced to come to this country. I willingly packed my bags and came into Canada, knowing ahead of time as well that this was going to be the situation. But
Yes.
being on ground actually made that reality really clear to me. Like, okay, it's not as easy as I could get my exams going and get in the system, but it wasn't that easy. It wasn't a piece of cake. It wasn't a piece of cake. So I kind of appreciated the Canadian government for their own idea of trying to funnel doctors into the system.
Mm,
Um, the practice is the practice, basically, right?
yes.
But unfortunately, in as much as I respect what the government of Canada has done so far, it's actually hurting the system right now
Mm,
because there's a huge shortage of doctors. Not
yes.
because you don't have doctors in the country. You have a lot of doctors in the country that are not in the medical system. I'm one of them. There's doctors out there that are driving cabs, trucks. There's doctors out there that are in the hospital. There's a very funny story I heard years ago, a long time ago, where there was a surgery going on. A surgeon that had come into the country as an immigrant that was not yet in the system. He's practicing today.
Wow.
He was a cleaner,
Wow.
right? He was one of the janitors, and hey, he happened to have been in the theater at the time they were having an operation done on a patient, and he just was listening in on the conversation with the surgeons and the nurses and the issues they had in while the patient was on the table, right? And he just stumbled in and said, "If you guys don't mind, like I know some of you do know that this is my background." He actually helped walk them through that very difficult surgery, the procedure that they were actually working on at the time. And that
That's
really
amazing.
helped. That helped him because when it was time for him to have recommendations when he was trying to get into the system, the the guys that he worked with at the hospital actually came in high. They gave a very high recommendation for this
Recommendation.
gentleman
That's
at the
amazing.
time.
Yeah.
So yes, that was an avenue that he used to penetrate the system. It worked for him, doesn't mean it will work for everybody else. But bottom
Right.
line is,
Right.
if you're coming in and you're for every step in life, for whatever you do in life, have an open mind. Because if
Yes.
you have to switch the game from A to B, then you should be able to adjust.
Yes.
We human beings are built to adjust. It just depends on how we apply ourselves. You should be able to adjust and replan and get in the game and just move on with it. So it
Wow.
was difficult. Was I happy about it? No, but I just thought, okay, well, at the end of the
Yes.
day, one, I want to put food on my table. Two, I
Yes.
love to serve people. Let me just serve.
Yes.
This is just for another avenue to serve if this is going to be too difficult. A lot of my colleagues then were drunks, depressed. I'm
Mhm.
like, I'm not going to get into that boat.
Right.
No,
Yeah.
just have to shake it up and find
Just
what the
shake it
next
up,
move
right?
would be. Shake it up and
Pick
find
yourself
let's move
up
on.
from the ground, dust yourself off, and go. I love that. So no resentment. You just moved on, and
That
so
was
you
it for
got in the
me.
car business and the real estate. So financing cars,
Yes.
people buying cars, and financing real estate. Was there any similarities?
There's a lot of similarities to it.
Okay.
You're
What?
purchasing
What?
something. How can you the lender's main goal initially is okay, you want this money. Yeah, if you qualify to borrow this money, right? How are you going to be able to service the loan and pay it back? That's it. So there's a lot of things in the financing industry for cars and the mortgage industry that are relatable. The major difference here now is the asset. Like buying a home is a lot more in terms of the figures, the dollar amount compared to you purchasing a vehicle, financing a vehicle, right? But the basics are the basics. Credit is good, income is there. You have the so what borrowing capacity do you have, and the ability to service the debt, service the loan.
Mm,
So those basics are the same, but it's just how do you apply things
how do you
based
apply
on
things?
the product. Yeah, that's it.
Amazing, amazing. How does how uh I just did a report and it showed I had an 842 score.
Okay,
Would I be a good client for you?
absolutely. Like your beacon score, just you being at that type of category, that's excellent credit.
Yeah,
But look at it,
this was actually TransUnion.
yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Equifax, TransUnion, well, there might be some, I won't call it discrepancies, but there might be some differences in your credit scores sometimes. There's a lot of factors that are in place and um, uh, uh, would explain that. But the bottom line is you cannot be too far off between your TransUnion and Equifax
Mm.
scores. Um, sorry, you were saying?
So, Cola, what would you say to someone? Let's say some of our friends are watching and they're thinking, okay, I want to buy a house.
Yes.
Credit is so important. Is there a couple of tips you could give someone that's watching right now that's thinking of buying a house? Uh, what should they know about their credit, and how does their credit affect what you're able to help them with in terms of financing?
Um, I like to relate that a lot of times to students in a class.
Okay.
If you have a bunch of pupils in a class and you have the top students, like the guys that are in the uh, excellent score range, right? The
Mm,
guys that are the 90%, 95%, 100%, right? When you want to choose that special kid to represent educationally now, to
mm,
represent that class for some sort of competition or whatever. Like, hey, your first go-to are the most brilliant and the best scoring students in that class, right? So they stand the chance of taking that position ahead of others. It's the same way with your credit. If you have excellent credit, all that is showing, all that you the lender is seeing is okay, this person for one is well disciplined, understands how to manage his finances. So they see you as that excellent pupil that is at the top of the class and they offer you the best product. But that does not mean that those that are not in that excellent position cannot find products. There's products for everybody. But the unfortunate part of it is when the credit scores and well, it's not just the score, it's a combination of the credit score and the history behind that that's led to that score. That you look at it from a holistic approach. A lot of people just think it's the score. You could have an excellent score and not be the best candidate for the mortgage, right? So having the good score puts you in a position to be able to get in the category of having the best product and rate, right? But most lenders would actually tear it up, right?
mm,
If you meet criteria A, B, C, and your score is excellent, and your score is excellent. So there's other factors in place, and your score is excellent, it would offer you this product at the premium rate of this.
mm,
But someone that is at 680, for instance, may be able to get the exact same product as someone that is at 800,
mm,
right? Depending on what type of product that is needed in that scenario. But what I say to people is this: if you have a plan, if you plan, if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. But if you have a plan in place, and that's where I recommend, not because I'm biased in the industry, I recommend always go through a mortgage agent or broker when you want to get a mortgage.
why is that?
Because
Why would you suggest that? Go
there's
through a
there's a
broker versus the.
there's a lot of there's more advantages to doing that than not going through a mortgage agent or broker. Now, for one, if you go into your bank, it's not a crime. It's good. You can go into a bank. If all works well for you, then that's fine. But if the particular bank you bank with does not have the product that suits you, they're not going to tell you. Walk into, for instance, RBC today, and RBC doesn't have the exact product that would suit your needs. They're not going to tell you, oh, TD has that product or CIBC has that product. We don't have it, so just go to TD. No, well, we're sorry they turn you down. That's the end of it, most times. Now, but with a mortgage, when you deal with somebody in the mortgage industry, right now, my own brokerage, we have access to more than 60 lenders for different types of products, and we would key you into something that works for you. So we
Mm,
do an evaluation, and I can tell you, well, I can take you to TD, I can take you to Scotiabank, I can take you to so many other ABC lenders, right? So it's a question of having that opportunity for you to have your case by case dealing based on your credit situation, your debt situation, what financial situation as well. So most mortgage brokers and agents out there would take that extra step to help you. There are people out there that have mismanaged their credit not because they deliberately wanted to mess the credit up, but just because they were not well informed. So I have a case in front of me where, oh, credit is not so good, and I just see a scenario where I do a credit review with the client, and I can advise and say, okay, we can have a 3 month plan for you, we can have a 6 month plan for you. You might need a year plan based on your credit. Like, this is what we're going to do to manage your credit to get you where you need to be. At the
wow,
same time, this is how you could put your case, the best possible way to put your case in front of a lender. So you need to be prepped with A, B, C, D, E to get you there. So I never say no to a mortgage. It's a
that's
question of, are you the client that's ready to buy and close your property today? Do you
mm,
need a month? Do you need 2 months? Do you need 3 months? Do you need 6 months? Do you need a year? We
wow,
always have a plan scheduled for every type of client, right? And we walk them through it till we get to that successful end. So never be discouraged because of a credit score. Have the experts look at it for you, do a review and advice, and have a plan to achieve that home purchase to a successful end. It's never too late, but it's better to strive to get in there than not to bother at all, or just say, okay, credit is bad now, I'll get to it later.
wow. I
Get
love
on it today.
That's amazing. Love it. So even if they can't buy today, you're going to work with them to get them in a position to be able to do that in the future. So for any of my
Absolutely.
friends and Cola's friend that are watching, my special guest today is Mr. Kola Olasimbo. You know, from being a doctor to getting into the automotive industry to now being in the mortgage industry and partnering with your wife Tanu and also one of your best friends, Coyote, right? And you guys
Yes.
have started a new educational group called Making. Am I saying this right? Making the right move.
Moves, making the right moves.
Making the right moves.
Correct.
Wow. Tell me, how did this come about? Making the right moves. Like, what is it about, and what is the benefit for people who come and join you guys with what you're doing?
It's kind of what we're talking about so far. So we came together, we have all these ideas, we have all this knowledge, and we're like, we in the short span we've spent in the industry, we've come across a lot of clients
Mm,
that, I don't want to use the word have no clue,
mm,
but they don't know what's out there. Like recently, Kaide and I had a deal. At the time we spoke with his clients, he didn't even believe he could purchase a house. He had no idea. Um, he had built this castle in the air of how difficult it was going to be for him to be able to buy a house. And we looked at the scenario like, sir, you can buy it right now. He's like, no, 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 no. We're like, yes. And we successfully put that man in a house, in a home.
wow, that's
So those
amazing.
things do happen, but a lot of people are not well informed. Some of
Mm,
them are ill informed. Some of them are even not informed at all. So it's a question of putting the knowledge out there, making people aware of the possibilities, the potential of real estate investment. Some people already own their homes. They own a house, they've had a house for years, right? They are actually at the stage where they should have graduated from one home to multiple properties and step up their investments, but they don't know. Or they know, they've heard about it, but they don't know how. So the question is, putting the essence of us starting the podcast, making the right moves, was to educate people give people the power, empower people, and let them know what is out there, the possibilities of what you can and cannot do in the real estate space, right? Let's inform each other. Let's be that channel, that news channel that you can go to and get information on your real estate investment. That's why we came together to start the podcast.
Sorry, making the right moves. They can find your Facebook group, making the right moves, and then you
Yes.
have a guest you're going to have on your podcast as well. Can you share with us who are some of the guests or the types of guests that you and topics you're going to have on your podcast?
Okay, so far we've had about 5 episodes already. Um, we started off with a very interesting gentleman, Chief Bailey, and the reason we started off with him was he has a very inspirational story, right? He's so the idea was, okay, we're getting in, and we deliberately brought him on there to just share his story. It was really nothing to do with real estate, just life in general. Like, if you the bottom line was, if you strive to achieve, you most likely will achieve. So, but if you don't put yourself out there or do the right thing, make the right moves in quotes, then you may be missing out a lot. So Chief Bailey was one of our special, it was the first special guest we had, and he talked a lot about just life in general, like just how as a young man, he just was just out there from one profession to another, to him becoming and the personal bodyguard for two U.S. presidents, where he was
Wow.
selected, right? Not even like he went out to apply for those positions, but he was selected. And you never know what you do in life. Whatever you do, do it well, do it right. Put your best into whatever you do, because you never know who's watching. Somebody's watching you, and for one reason or the other, you may be handpicked or selected for certain things that will prompt pull your career up there. So you just never know. We've had From then on, we moved on to inviting a financial planner, because hey, we kind of wanted to put out a stepwise approach to achieving um, your home purchase, especially the first time home buyers coming into the industry that have uh, that would need more tips, right? So at some point, we brought in a financial planner just to speak generally on how people can manage their finances and to save towards down payment and things like that. So then we got into the mortgage aspect of it. So now we're at a phase where we're still discussing how to prep yourself in terms of um, fine tuning where you should be in terms of the purchase price, your borrowing capacity for the mortgage and all of that. And then we're going to move into the realtors. That I was able to. I was the main person to discuss that. We still have one or two more episodes to push whatever we have to discuss in mortgages, and then my partners would carry on as to the process, the home buying process itself, on the real estate aspect of things, and then we'll keep moving forward from there.
Well, that's amazing. That's amazing. Well, again, folks, for those of you watching, thank you so much. Those of you watching on the replay, this is my special guest, Mr. Kola Olasimbo, making the right moves. Kola, before we wrap up, I wanted to ask you a couple fun questions. Would that be okay?
Absolutely.
Okay, I want to put you on the spot. So, whatever answer comes to mind. Okay, so some rapid
Yeah.
questions. What is your favorite color?
My favorite color is blue.
Blue. Okay.
Yeah, preferably light blue.
Light blue. Okay, like
Yeah.
not a dark blue like this, but light blue. That's good.
Yes. Yes.
What do you have a favorite ice cream?
Yes. My favorite ice cream is vanilla.
Vanilla. Okay.
Correct.
Okay. Awesome. And do you have any favorite hobbies?
Well, I used to play soccer, but honestly, with it's not. I just recently just joined the soccer academy again in Durham.
Oh, nice.
So, but I haven't been on the soccer field in a long time, because it's not. It's a big thing where I come from,
Yes.
right? But Canadians are more of hockey and things like that. So that kind of took me away from that hobby a little bit. But I enjoy family time.
That's
I
amazing.
enjoy family time. I really enjoy family time.
Yeah, family time's important, and your
Yes.
health is your wealth as well, right? So getting out and playing sports. I can't skate. I always tell people that I'm better with chopsticks than with hockey sticks. But I do play ball hockey once or
Yeah,
twice a week, right? So lots of running. So you as a doctor, your health is so important, isn't it?
absolutely. Yes.
Um, I'm gonna put you on the spot, like right behind you, the wainscoting that's behind you. I absolutely love it. Who tell us who did that?
That's my work, my
Yeah,
handiwork. Yeah. I
there
did
you
all of
go.
that myself.
So if you guys, for those of you who don't know, Kola, he is so amazing. When you took me through your home, one of your homes, because you mentioned earlier about multiple properties. Well, Kola
Yes.
is not just talking about; he leads by example. And I won't go into all the details of what you're doing there, but the work that you did, like as a carpenter, there, is just
Yes.
amazing. Yeah.
I enjoy carpentry as well. I do a lot of, like, I learned almost everything about building a home from
Hmm.
scratch to finish.
Wow.
If I can't do it all, I have the idea, right?
Wow.
And but in the house, like, I've successfully done about five basements on my own. Not on my own, but basically me doing majority of the work: framing, drywalling, mudding, sanding, painting, wainscoting, like Jordan just pointed out,
Yes.
flooring, plumbing, electrical. So yeah, I got into all of that while in Canada here, because I didn't even know how to use a screwdriver before I came into this country.
Wow. Uh, well, those are amazing skill sets to have, right? Because
Yes, absolutely.
real estate is something if you can find the right property, buy it at the right price, fix it, put it back in the market, you can make money. So those are
Absolutely.
good skill
Yes.
sets you have
Yes.
that you don't have to hire somebody else to do that for you. That's
I,
amazing.
I usually say this: if I know how to do it and I have the time to do it, right? If I'm not earning money at the time I'm paying somebody to paint a room for me, then I
Mm,
might as well paint it myself. Why am I paying to do it if I know how to do it very well
yes.
and I have the time to do it, and I'm not doing anything while someone else is doing it for me? Why
Yes.
not? That's
And
my policy.
yeah, and that's a really good sweat equity, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, really
Absolutely.
good
Yeah.
sweat equity. I got
Yeah.
a last question for you before we wrap up. Okay, this one's gonna be trick. This is a little bit tricky. Cole, I know you're a doctor. You love to help people. We started off with that, and in
Yes.
the mortgage business and the real estate business, you're here because you want to be able to help people. Okay, so here's your question: if you could do one thing right now for Cola, not somebody else, but
Okay.
if you could wave the magic wand and you could do one thing for yourself right now, this very moment, what would you do for Cola?
um I'll be buying another property, another investment property.
Wow, there you
I
go.
will be I will be buying another investment property.
Okay, that's amazing. Well, and folks, there you have it. Here's someone who's in the real estate mortgage industry. Guess what he's going to do? I mean, the property you showed me, that's a huge property. I loved everything you're doing there and the additional income you're going to create out of that property as well.
Yes.
With residual income, that's incredible. So anybody who's watching, if you're thinking of buying or selling real estate, please connect with Cola. Please join his Facebook group, Making the Right Move, and follow him on his podcast as well. So before we wrap up, Cola, do you have any final thoughts at all? Any final thoughts at all for our audience?
Yes, like, hey, anything is achievable. Have an open mind, set a goal for yourself, and go for it. The sky is not the limit, right? Anything is achievable as long as you set your mind to it. Real estate investment, especially in Canada today, is an awesome tool to having a stable financial future. You could have your retirement savings plans all day long, but honestly, your real estate investment might just be the best ever retirement plan that you may have. So if you are not in there, if you're not in that space there, if you think you're are ready, please get on it. If you don't even know if you're ready or not, talk to the professionals out there that can handhold you and tell you and guide you as to when you can achieve that goal. But if you and for those that are not even thinking about it right now, maybe this is the best time to start thinking about it and talking about it and working on it, even if it's not for now, for the future, because it's never too late. But you have to be in the game at some point. I'm already planning on how to start laying the foundation for my kids' home ownership, and they're still young. My oldest is a teenager. So,
Well, maybe we
and
should
thank
talk.
you very much, Gordon, for having me here.
Oh, you're very well. Thank you for being here. Maybe, I'd love for you to come back. Maybe we could dive deeper into how do we help our kids,
Absolutely.
own real estate as well. Well,
Yes.
once again, thank you so much, Kola, and thank you for anyone who's watching now and watching the replay. And until the next time, have an amazing, amazing day, everyone.
Thanks a lot, Gordon. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.